Buckeye Talk with some NFL draft reaction. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com, along with Stephen Means. A run on former Ohio State receivers, and it got started with Garrett Wilson, but the guy who went in the middle was Chris Olave. And when we saw the Saints, who had the number 16 pick, trade up to number 11, I thought it was going to be one of two guys there, both former Ohio State receivers. And turns out they went with the guy who is maybe a little bit more of, I still say, a sure thing at this point. Chris Olave, considered by many the best route runner in this draft, but then also goes to the combine, runs a sub 4.40 and shows he's got other gifts as well. This is a really interesting pick for me, I think, especially because they now pair him with Michael Thomas, who missed all of last season, but another former Buckeye receiver who very recently was considered the best receiver in football. And now those two guys working in tandem with maybe some complementary skill sets.
Yeah, literally. And I think you can make the case that either him or Jameson Williams would have complemented, but Chris Olave is ready to play week one and Jameson Williams is not ready to play week one. And it's basically walking into the Ohio State receiver room again, where it's Michael Thomas is the route runner. He's kind of the playmaker there. He's number one, while Chris Olave is the smooth route runner and the deep threat, takes a top off of defense. I mean, Jameis Winston has weapons now in New Orleans. And for the sake of the matter, I mean, the last time he played in the Superdome, I mean, he played pretty well against Clemson, so he's pretty comfortable there. But yeah, I don't know if the New Orleans Saints had to move up to get Chris Olave. I feel like we both kind of assumed that him and Jameson Williams would be there anyway. But yeah, I think you're right. As soon as you saw them move up, you knew who was coming off the board. It was going to be another one of these receivers.
Well, they clearly thought they did, and that was going to be the next thing I talked about. Was then that run on receivers that I talked about ends at number 13 with another former Buckeye, Jameson Williams, going to the Lions, who also had to trade up. And I haven't seen the return on the compensation yet. Actually, we're recording this pretty quickly after that flurry of activity, so I don't know exactly what the Saints threw in along with 16 to get all the way up to 11, and it's only a gap of 5. But it tells you how much they valued Chris Olave, that even though there were other still good receivers if they'd waited back and thought they could get one of him or Williams, whoever just drifted down to him, and there's even some other pretty good receivers you can get later in this first round that are going to go, Jahan Dotson, other guys. You could have been, I think, secure in doing that. I think people would have understood that, but they clearly saw something special in Chris Olave. I think that they were spending draft capital to get up and get him there. Now they do have 2 first-round picks, so that made it a little easier on them to maybe play with some value there.
Yeah, he's probably the most valuable number 2 guy of the receivers in this class, who might have 7 first-round wide receivers. And when that's the case, and you've got what Michael Thomas has been as your number 1 receiver when he's been healthy, I mean, as you said to start off this entire video, they complement each other. And what better way to complement with a number 2 guy who on most teams could be your number 1, but if he's your number 2 guy, that's a pretty darn good receiving core.
The thing that I like about Chris Olave over Jameson Williams, I think Jameson Williams could have a very strong NFL career, but we know Jameson Williams is crazy fast, but you don't necessarily see all of that, like that collection of skills that you do with Chris Olave. And I think NFL teams looked at Chris Olave, or clearly the Saints did, and saw that 4.4 speed, that sub 4.4 speed, in conjunction with, the way he knows how to run routes, the way he has just this very smooth operation on the field, the way he can contest and win at the point of the catch. I think all those things just made him more worthy of that gamble than Jameson Williams is.
It feels like there's a reliability factor to Chris Olave that might not be there when you're dealing with we can throw Garrett in here as well. They're very explosive, but there is a bust component to that game where with Chris Olave, it's like everything's pretty developed at this point, and there's not really a flaw, even if the ceiling isn't that high. And number 2 guy, you're more probably focused on like, okay, let me make sure there's no flaws here and he's reliable, than you are on getting a guy where it's like, I need you to take a 5-yard pass and go 60 yards with it.
And here's the other thing. Michael Thomas had a weird year last year in New Orleans, injuries and some off-field things. And if they're worried at all about the long-term fit for him there, I think Chris Olave does have pretty strong upside. He's a guy that you could see being your top receiver if things work out for him in the NFL. Much more about that idea and a lot of other things on Buckeye Talk. Get it wherever you can find podcasts.